Coach Steve Smith Show on Kapow Media, as he calls us. Jerry White, Jeff Hunter, what's up?
At least he didn't call us the average Kapow. What's up, bud?
That's a fair point.
He'll jump on. Why are both Starkey watching today?
Let's see what he does. I know.
Can't take him nowhere.
I know.
Today? Coach, congratulations on they're all big victories, but first shutout of the season. I know your defensive staff is over the moon about that.
They did a great job coming up with a great game plan and then execute the plan. I'm very pleased. Our defense has been really solid for us all year long, and I mentioned Coach Lowen here a couple weeks ago, but the preparation that he does to get our guys, our coaches, a plan together for them to be able to take that to their position group. He done a really good job all year long, and that was rewarded the other night with a shutout.
They're hard to come by.
Oh yeah,
absolutely hard to come by. But I know you don't care about those kind of things, right? You're about team glory, right? It's about team glory.
Right.
And sometimes I don't think people think about, sometimes the offense had to put the defense in good situations, or special teams had to set the defense up. It's not always like that, especially in high school ball. So I would say from what I've gathered from the game, talking to people, and some of the clips I saw, it was truly a team victory.
It was, and Mumford came out. They hit us for a couple of big plays there in the first couple of drives, and they got down inside the red zone one time and inside our 35 the other time, and our defense did a good job of bowing their neck, turning them back, and kicking in was solid for us again. Reed, I think he had 6 touchbacks, and so that was some drives that started.
A weapon.
Averaged 46 yards on 3 punts, and so we were able to keep them backed up the majority of the night. Like I said, they did break a couple of big plays against us and got it down inside the 35 a couple of times, but the defense did a good job of turning them back, and offensively we were able to be efficient with our possessions and scored, I think, each time that we had it in the first. Maybe we had one punt maybe in the first half, but otherwise they executed really well on that side of the ball and got a couple of turnovers on the defensive side. I think we had 2 picks in the game, so overall it was a good team effort.
Talk about the play from your quarterback. I mean,
yeah, Brody was, I think he was 11 out of 12 for about 220 yards and 5 touchdowns in the first half. And, we didn't have anybody on the receiving end. It just had a monster night. I think 2 catches. I think there was like 4 or 5 guys that had 2 catches and somebody else had 1. Brody Wood had a 91-yard touchdown reception, a big play. And
that helps.
Pretty good.
Parker Sims had a 60-yard touchdown reception. Bo called a touchdown. Brody Johnson called a touchdown. Maximus Jones called a touchdown. Beckham Hammontree had a nice catch for us. So we had a lot of guys that got involved in the passing game, and we had 1 incompletion, and it was a ball just kind of a little bit overthrown right off the fingertip type deal, but it was a ball that was within reason. So all the he did a good job there, and offensive line did a good job pass protecting for the most part, and we ran the ball pretty effectively, and overall just a good offensive effort for our entire team.
Jerry's a defensive guy. He was talking about the 72 tackles.
Yeah.
You guys, freaking up.
Yeah, we had a lot of defensive snaps. I think we graded like 59 or 60 defensive snaps. Then you throw in the special teams plays, but we had a lot of snaps on that side of the ball. Carter Carthon had an interception return for a touchdown, which is a big play for him and for our team. And then Gavin Michael also had an interception. I think we had 13 or 14 stops behind the line. Titus had 6 tackles behind the line of scrimmage. 3 of them were sacks. And I think he played 39 or 40 snaps. So, he was in on about a third of the plays when he was in the game, and a lot of big plays. So, just a lot of guys that had some contributions the other night, some names that maybe not have been mentioned as much, but I'm very proud of everybody and the way they played.
You get a touchdown, and you get a touchdown, and you get a touchdown. Everybody got a touchdown. But I know all great coaches, right, that I know. And I say great, I'm talking about.
He's not. I'm answering the mayor.
What's that?
He's not.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
I'm going to send you that clip here in a few minutes. It's coming. Don't worry.
That was in my business,
It's coming.
Coach.
Yeah.
That was in my business.
You still got to keep an eye on you.
You turn right, someone has to.
But it seems like the coaches that really think about, okay, great team victory, always looking for improvement.
Right.
We can always get better in certain situations.
Right.
What are those areas from that Mumford game you think we can and should do better here?
Well, we still would like to run the ball more effectively. We ran the ball pretty effectively the other night, but we had some negative plays. We had a couple of sacks allowed, so things like that we'd like to shore up and do a better job of. We had a couple of fumbles that were in exchanges. We didn't lose the fumbles, but they were in exchanges, on quarterback, running back exchanges. Just kind of been a little sloppy with the ball there. Defensively, we talked about all the plays that we did make, but we probably would have had 3 or 4 more sacks if we just got the quarterback on the ground. He was very elusive. He was a good ball player and had our hands on him several times, but he would just reverse field and find a way to get rid of the ball and avoid the sack. But so those are obviously some things that we can do better. That's something that you can work on in practice. There's a happy medium between how much you go in live contact at practice and all, but that was a couple areas that I thought that we could have done better in. And just to be honest with you, you get to this point in the season. I talked to the team about it this week. I talked to a couple of coaches about it. You hit a little bit of a wall somewhere during the season where you kind of just sort of level off a little bit. And as coaches, we're always pushing, get better. And then, but inevitably, somewhere during the year, if you just look at any team at any level, they have a game where it's a letdown game, where they just don't play up to their standard or whatever. And part of the most difficult challenge of being a head coach in a high school team is getting the kids to remain sharp and focused right here in this middle part of the season, because the early part of the season you're playing off a lot of enthusiasm and excitement because it's the beginning of the year. The end of the year, if you're playing for something, if you're playing for the playoffs, you're playing for position, you're playing for seeding, you're playing for home field advantage or whatever it might be, you kind of get excited again. The weather cools off and you start thinking about, hey man, how cool would it be if we playing in November? But you do hit, I think every program kind of hits a lull somewhere in the middle, to where you may have a little letdown in your performance, or practice may not be as crisp as you want it to be, and that's something that I kind of sensed this week with our guys. It wasn't we had bad practices, it was just we kind of went through the motions on some things, and the kids, they've been going at it hard. We don't have a bye week. They've been going at it pretty hard ever since the first Monday in August. But this is where mentally you got to just push yourself to get through that. And then start looking on the back end side. This is a region game this week. Ohatchee is a team that beat us 2 years ago. Last time we were on the Creek Bank, we lost to them. They're in a transitionary state with, a new coach, Coach Jennings, a new old coach, somebody that had been there for as long as he had.
He was the defense coordinator for a long time.
Defense coordinator there for like 11 years, I believe, and one of the bright up-and-coming young coaches in this state. He does a wonderful job. And, I think the biggest challenge on his end, you look at his roster, they got 43 players on the roster. They got 5 seniors, 7 juniors, 9 sophomores, and then you got 21 freshmen. So half of his roster pretty much they're freshmen. And so he's got a young bunch, and you watched them early in the year, they made some freshman mistakes. But as they've gotten better over the last 2 weeks, they've won their last 2 games and playing with a lot more confidence right now. And, we can't fall into that trap of, the team that we're playing lost their first 4, now they're 2-4. This is not the Ohatchee team. The record's not indicative of what kind of team they are and how they're playing right now. And that's a tribute to him of being able to keep those young guys focused and getting better. And we gotta play better than we practiced this week. Let's just put it that way. Our practice this week was not up to our standard, and I think our kids know that. They don't need me beating them up with it. They understood that it was kind of sloppy this week, and we need to go out there and wipe that away with a good performance on Friday night.
Special teams is a huge deal.
Right.
And if your special teams is on this week like it was last week,
right.
You got 8 kickoffs for 444 yards, 444, Jerry.
My number.
Flipping. So you're talking about flipping the field
Oh, yeah.
all night long. And then
Okay.
what is it, 3 punts for 100 and almost 50 yards?
46-yard average. So
Gosh.
those are big keys, obviously, in the game, and I do feel like that most games that we play, having the special teams, having the kicker and punter that we have, we're typically going to have an advantage there, but having an advantage on paper and having an advantage and going out and doing it on the field is 2 totally different things. We talked about the Piedmont game a couple of weeks ago. A couple of special teams blunders really hurt us in that game. And that's all a tribute to the other team for making those plays, because Piedmont found a way to make those plays, and that's the plays that we normally make, and you just can't never let your guard down there.
That's a huge focus. If you're Westbrook's opponent, that's got to be a huge prepping point for you if you're coming to play Westbrook or they're coming to your house.
Right.
Is we got to disrupt special teams, because that that can change the whole night.
I don't know how anybody else does it. I know how we do it, and I'm assuming that everybody else pays attention to that type of stuff when they're doing their breakdown of their opponents, but I definitely think that having somebody like we have, I know if we were playing somebody that had a kicker that kicked it in the end zone 90% of the time, and we knew most of our drives were going to start on the 20, then that obviously would affect your offensive game planning on how you want to start possessions and how you want to start drives, because you start at the 35 or 40, you might be a little bit more open to opening up the playbook. You start at the 20, you want to make sure you get something positive on first down, and so therefore a lot of times you might be a little bit more conservative in your play calling. So I definitely think that having the kicker that can put the ball in the end zone helps our defense not have to be as prepared for as much in those initial plays of a drive. And you watch football at any level, first down a lot of times dictates the whole series. And so when you can kind of put people behind the 8 ball where they don't feel like that they can be wide open,
For sure.
it definitely helps.
A lot of people chiming in. Our great mayor's watching from Fort Morgan. He says, great to hear Coach talk about the game. Kevin Moore from Kevin's Corner. You don't know him, Coach.
I do know him, unfortunately. I don't challenge him to the pick'ems.
Kevin, I don't think you want that. But we'll throw some games at you later on.
You don't.
Danny Starnes is watching. Good morning. Danny Ruger's watching from North Carolina or Savannah. I think maybe in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
Danny Starnes said Auburn gear is on sale at the thrift store. He's stirring the pot, Coach. He is absolutely stirring the pot. Hey, wow, what's another comment I just missed? Hey, can you tell us about the absolutely shredded freshman running back you got, Coach?
Winsley Shannon. Winsley got a varsity touchdown the other night. He scored in the second half, but Winsley's a kid that came to the Big Oak Ranch my very first year. He was a 7th grader, and he had never played football.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he really had no idea what football was about, American football. Now, he had obviously looked like he had some soccer experience, he could hacky sack and things like that, but
I heard that term in a minute.
And we know what that is, right?
Yeah.
But Winsley is one of the most precious kids at Westbrook Christian School. He has a smile on his face all the time. Everybody in that school loves Winsley. He's so polite, and he does everything the way that you ask him to. He tries to do everything to perfection. But he's a weight room warrior. He is chiseled up. Now he's about 5'6", maybe 5'7". Probably weighs about 155, 165 pounds, somewhere in that range. But he's extremely strong for his size, and we're trying to make a running back out of him. And he's gotten better each of those 3 years. And like I say, he runs extremely hard. He plays wide open all the time.
Heck yeah.
A lot of times he may make some errors, but it's never an error and effort. It's always wide open, trying his best to help the team. And he's really improved a lot. I've been very pleased with his progress. And when we had our walkthrough this morning, I working him in with the varsity guys some and just trying to mess him up. A lot of times when we do walkthroughs, we try to confuse him and try to mess him up. And his understanding of what we're doing and how to play the position has really, really improved in the last just 3 months, And so very pleased with Winsley. And if you saw him, he is cut up.
They call him Mango?
Mango, that's right.
Okay, I'm getting here.
Yeah.
Justin just chimed in. Everybody outside the school loves Mango too. Carrie said Mango. You never know with her. With her comments, if she's trying to get me in trouble or not. I don't know. So
yeah.
I wish I could careful more.
I think Noah called him Mango from the press box. I try to call him Winsley, but I hadn't got used to calling him Mango yet. But that's what everybody knows him
Y'all
as.
still let Noah have a mic?
At least for the rest of this year, because I hadn't really got replacements yet. But
You need lines.
I'm kidding. I give Noel a hard time. Noel has been a devout supporter of Westbrook Christian for a long time. I've known Noel way before my time coming to Westbrook, and I consider him a great friend. I appreciate his help.
He's a wonderful
I heard he
guy.
sleeps with the microphone.
Sure he does.
He packs
And a
his
mirror.
day,
And a mirror.
Yeah.
It kind of, it's funny you talk about this young man Mango. It reminds me of what the people are calling Joseph East at Coosa is Togo. They call him Togo.
That's cool.
The sweetest kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've met him.
He's
I don't know if I've met him or not.
He's 5'6" and freaking
He's
shredded.
just a massive.
Yeah.
But he's like that. He's just the sweetest spirit. Loves
Yeah.
God. Always smiling. He's just
Yeah.
one of those people, regardless kid or not, just one of the people that you want to be around.
No doubt.
We
No
need
doubt.
more of those people in our life. Hey, Jonathan Portwood. All right, Coach, let's get into this one. You got 4 region games to go.
Right.
Doesn't seem right, right? You got 4 region games to go. And you go back to the Creek Bank.
Right.
And let me just say, Coach, Kerry, I'm going to say it. Their broadcast team's not a fan of Steve Smith.
I noticed that. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know that guy, but from what I understand, they don't. And then I started getting video clip sent to me on Sunday afternoon, and I thought I knew who that voice was, and then Coach Jennings confirmed to me, no, that's not who you think it is, and so I promise you, over the course of time, I probably made a lot of people mad. So it served as a lot of motivation this week for a lot of our guys, and I don't know of anybody in our community that hadn't heard those clips, and I was kind of blown away with some of it, but that's all good. Hey, all good. It'll be fun tomorrow night.
We played it on Kapow on our Monday show, Tuesday show. On our Tuesday show, we played it because it was the guy was. Let me just say this. He meant it.
He sure
Yeah,
did.
he said,
Yeah.
I wish Westbrook was ranked 318th.
He said it with conviction.
Very
so-
specific number. I remember. So, and that plays nothing really into
Nah,
the game plan.
it don't. It don't.
You're focused on, because they are such a young team.
Right.
That's why you see them getting better, right?
No doubt. I got the utmost respect for Coach Jennings and his team and those people. The way that they, even the time when I was at Piedmont playing against Ohatchee, I always had a ton of respect for those kids and the way they played. They're hard nosed, blue collar type people. Most of them second and third generation guys from Ohatchee. They laid it down on the line for their teammates. They play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and that's what I always enjoy about watching. I'm a fan of high school football, and I like to watch people that play the way that they play.
Yeah.
And again, nothing but respect for them. And in all seriousness, I promise you, what somebody says about me, it's not one bit of a factor. My own family a lot of times don't like me, so I mean, it's
And they hadn't been in the
first.
comments lately, so we need
That's hilarious.
Smith family needs to step this up.
Nah, I don't know what day of the week it is. They may not like me, so
Rumor has it that during Kevin Moore's show, he's actually going to pick Ohatchee this week.
That's the rumor.
That's what I've
That's
heard.
the rumor.
And there's something about, there's just certain stadiums you want to play in. It's got these nicknames.
Yeah.
The Creek Bank is a good one.
That's a good nickname.
yeah, it is.
My first ever
Cool
broadcast was there. Absolutely, some kind of tied with it. My first broadcast was there. And you got the Woodshed,
I realize that.
out of Hokes Place. Some of the names.
They would take speak to the
Glove.
woodshed. So, is Ohatchee still the physical team that they used to be? You said they're not.
Well, Jennings is physical. I mean, that's how
that's their mentality. Yes, and that's the kind of team he wants to have, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of culture he's wanting to create. And like I said, the biggest thing on it is the fact when you look at their roster, he's got 5 seniors, and I think I might be wrong. I don't think 3 of those guys were on the team from last year. So he got some guys out of the hall that maybe skipped a year last year and didn't play. I won't say he told me he got some guys back out that didn't play last year. It might be in that senior class. I can't remember for sure. But anytime you look up at a 3A school and the buzz is that their enrollment may even drop on the 2A in this next classification period, and you got 21 kids in the 9th grade playing, it may make it a little tough right now. But those 9th graders one day will be juniors and seniors. And if they all stick together and they all continue to progress the way I know that he's going to coach them to progress, that's going to be somebody to keep an eye on in the very near future with those young guys just gaining valuable varsity experience. But when you go back and you look at that 15-16 run that they had there at Ohatchee when they had Tucker and Eubanks in the backfield and they had all those linemen that were 270 to 300 across the front, including the tight ends.
Yeah.
They're not quite of that caliber right now, but again, with those young guys coming, and then one thing I'll say about it, the Ugly Eagle, everybody look, run. What's been so impressive to me the last 2 weeks, I think the quarterback's thrown 5 touchdown passes, and they're not just throwing deep balls, and the defense all asleep because they've only thrown it 2 times in the game. I mean, I think we charted 23 to 24 pass plays in the last 2 games, so they're throwing the ball more out of that than they have in the past, and quarterback throws it really well, and he's got some guys that go catch it. They got a wingback number 5 that is as quick as anybody we've seen all year long. He makes a lot of people miss in space, and they've been doing a good job getting him the ball in several different ways. So got a couple power running backs in the backfield, and like I said, the quarterback throws it extremely well. So it'll be a big challenge for us for sure.
So when they run heavy though, they're run heavy, obviously still.
Yeah.
Run heavy. You guys made 70 something tackles last week. does that play a part into this week? You got to be disciplined.
Well, and that number 72 might be a little deceiving because
Right.
I don't separate it with solos and assists.
Right,
So
sure.
there could have been one play that it could have had 3 people that got credit for a tackle, either the primary guy, the first contact, or the guys that came in. So 72 is a little bit misleading. It wasn't like we had 72 solo tackles.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is the type of team that you have to gang tackle. You have to get the guy on the ground because they do such a good job. There's a lot of emphasis in football right now placed on the tush push, where you have the quarterback up and everybody's put. But when you run this type of offense the way they run it, and a lot of things in between the tackles, a lot of times that pile gets stood up.
Yeah.
And then it becomes almost like a rugby scrum to whether they go backwards or whether they fall for 2 or 3 more yards. And that's something that's really worrisome when you play a team like this. Is you got to take the one that's got the ball and get him on the ground. You can't we're not pushing the whole pile. We got to find the one that's got the ball and get that guy on the ground. Everybody else is pushing, don't really matter. But so gang tackling will be a big part of this week's plan for sure.
Well, you guys are playing them probably at the time of the year where they've been most confident, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're playing with the most confidence they've had all year.
They've won 2 in a row.
And they're averaging almost 23 points a game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's coming together for Coach Jennings.
Well,
sure.
I watched their first game. They played Locust Fork first game. Well,
New Hope.
actually, they played New Hope. I didn't see that, but their
Yeah.
first region game, week 1, was against Locust
Right.
Fork, and
Close
they
game.
went on the road to Locust Fork. They led that game early, and they kind of faded a little bit toward the end. And that probably, I would attribute that fade to being experience. Locust Fork still had a lot of guys came
Sure.
back from that team that was such a good team last year, and I think experience played a part in that game at the end. And then they hit some tough guys in the region. They played Piedmont early in the region and took a loss there. The New Hope game, I think, was kind of a high-scoring affair like it was last year. Not as high-scoring as last year, but and I don't even remember who their other game was against. But the 2 I have on film that we traded, they had a win against Weaver and a win against Donahoe.
Yeah.
So
They played Piedmont.
And Piedmont was one. They had somebody else in there I can't remember.
JB Pennington?
Pennington was another one.
42-14.
And that was Pennington was another team that was had a winning record last year in our region, was in that tie. So they didn't get any favors as far as how their region schedule started off. They played some of the top teams in the region right in the beginning, and now then they're having an opportunity to play the last 2 weeks. Weaver, was in a little bit of turmoil when they played them, and then Donahoe, who's kind of rebuilding this year, so they're hitting their stride at a good time, and not a good time for us, but that they're hitting their stride with a chance to make a push to the playoffs.
How's the region shaking out? Kind of as you thought, or you got some surprises in the region so far?
Piedmont's at the top, and I don't see anybody in the region beating them. That's no disrespect to anybody else. They're just that good. And then you got the rest of us battling for those other 3 playoff spots. A lot of parity in the region. Weaver and Sachs played. Weaver beat them 28-24, I think. And then Ohatchee turned around and beat Weaver, and Glencoe has started off good in region play. I think they've lost 1 to us in the region.
That's it so far. Yeah.
Wellborn has beaten Pennington and maybe Weaver, but then they lost to Glencoe. So it's just kind of still a mess right now. I think in a 9-team region, you won't see this thing start. You won't see it probably resolve completely till week 10. I think week 10 will still have games that have impact on the standings, but it'll probably be week 8 or so even before it starts kind of sorting out who's out. I think it'll be week 8 before you just say this team's out of consideration. So,
just looking through the list, and I don't know what's going on with Weaver. I feel bad for the program.
I like Coach Kofor a lot.
Yeah.
I commended them last year. They started out I think 0-5.
Yeah.
And then he held that group together, and they rallied and finished 3rd in the region with all the tiebreakers, or I think it was they finished 3rd.
I think so, yeah.
And he did a great job of holding the fort together when everything didn't start out very well, and then I have no idea what went on, but I, like everybody else, I saw the article yesterday about his resignation, and just don't know a whole lot about that situation. Just know that he had really done a good job at Weaver and had those kids buying into what he was trying to do, and so I know that's going to be tough for them, the people that take over the coaching reins and whatever.
Is it Coach Sperling? I think is what I read.
That's what I read.
Okay. I don't know him.
But anytime you change during the middle of the year like that, I
Sure.
mean, it's difficult for the coach. It's difficult for the kids. And
What's good? It's a good program. It's a good community. I don't like to see any programs go through issues.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Let me see who
We're getting ready to go to Jerry's favorite part of the show in
Oh,
just a minute, and
is,
I
right.
can't wait. But so to me, this game this week, and we'll close this week as far as Ohatchee out because now we're going to get to the Coach Smith pick'ems and some fun stuff that Jerry loves. I think this is where physicality meets preparation this week. I think both of your teams are physical as all get out. But man, your preparation, the way your kids are playing, your guys are, the way they're coached, I'm impressed just as an outside guy looking in, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful to have a program like Westbrook that is picking up and being what you guys should be.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I pass that on to everybody that's involved in the program. Really, you know, the coaches that we have, the guys that are helping me out, varsity level and JV and junior high. Couldn't ask for a greater group of men that are good influences for the young men that they're coaching each and every day. They're dedicated. They're loyal. They pick up a lot of the slack from me, do a lot of the things, and like I said, then you got the administration that's behind you. You got a good supportive W club. I mean, I say those same things every year or every week, I guess. But you know, having that kind of support and those kind of folks behind you,
Yeah.
and then most importantly, you know, we talk about all the adults and the people that don't. We need all the adults, but none of us play a play.
Right, sure.
The key ingredients. We have tremendous kids.
Yep.
I'm very proud of the guys that we have on our squad. I love our team. I love the guys, their work ethic, their attitude, just the buy-in that they've had toward what we try to do. And I can't say enough good things about our players and the way that they have risen to the occasion each and every week. I'm very fortunate to have this group of guys to work with.
Yeah, they carry themselves well.
You got some great parents too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
They do.
not always the case
Your
at
assistant
every
principal is
situation.
questionable.
The assistant principal is very
Very
questionable.
questionable.
That's a different show.
And we got some great folks for sure.
Oh my goodness. 1A football, as you wish, there's some good games, but no top 10 matchups, so to speak. Go to 2A football, big games. There's only one top 10 matchup I see, and that is Vincent going to TA. Interesting. Number 7 against number 5.
Yeah, you know, Tuscaloosa Academy made the finals last year.
The quarterback can spin it.
Well, Josh Wright, the coach over there, his brother Jody, and I kind of know each other, and I know Josh a little bit.
Is he still at Murray State?
He is. He's the head coach at Murray State, and you know, I talked to Josh just a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about just 2A in general across North Alabama, and his team's a little bit down this year after the championship run that they made last year, and. You know, is that game at Vincent or Tuscaloosa Academy?
It is. Let me go back. I think it's at TA. It's at Tuscaloosa.
You know, I think home field matters, but I also think Vincent's got a very good team this year and a hungry bunch. So I'm going to take Tuscaloosa Academy in a close one there.
Okay, Kevin Moore, write it down. Of course, if you beat him, Coach, he forgets where he puts those notes. But,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that one. It's not a top 10 matchup, but Pleasant Valley's playing great ball, and they go to one of your past teams at Cedar Bluff this week.
Coach Nix, what he's done at Pleasant Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, it speaks
Hats
for
off.
itself.
How about the right way?
No doubt. Garrett Crane, coaching at Cedar Bluff. Garrett he was in middle school when I left Cedar Bluff back in 2005, 2006 school year. I'm old.
7-year-old.
Torrey McDaniel's the principal there at Cedar Bluff. But he was a player for me at Cedar Bluff on my first 3 teams. So a lot of love for those guys, a lot of respect for them, a lot of well wishes my way to them.
Heck yeah.
How cool is that though?
Yeah.
To see your guys that played for you, now they're coaching.
Yeah, they're coaching
That's
and they're
pretty
principals
special.
and they're, you know, that, and those are just the ones in education. A lot of the guys over the course of time, you know, you look up and you got guys that are dentists and doctors and doing all kind of, you know, great things, working in athletic departments from Alabama to Texas to, you know, it's pretty cool to see those guys, you know, spreading their wings and doing their own thing.
I know you got a lot of military kids too.
We do.
Yeah,
We do.
yeah.
Yep.
So let's go over to 3A football. You've got Montgomery Academy at Trinity, both 5-1, but we'll skip past that one. Cottage Hill Christian at T.R. Miller.
You know, Cottage Hill's got a couple of players that are big-time D1 prospects, but T.R. Miller, Coach Cottrell's down there back in his hometown in Bruton, and I think they've gotten off to a great start. You know, Coach Cottrell he's one of those guys. He's a fun guy to sit down and listen to talk. Obviously, he's got tons of experience, and he's got some stories to tell for sure. Some things that went on in the college ranks, high school ranks at Mobile Christian, whatever. An interesting guy to talk to say the least. But in Cottage Hill, you hear their big prospects, but you don't hear a lot about them team wise. I kind of went on a limb and said I thought this might be the year that T.R. Miller is the 3A representative. I don't know. Like I said, y'all got the computer, you can pull it up, but T.R. Miller is that team that has the tradition, it has the name recognition, it has all the things that goes with it. I'm not sure if T.R. Miller's ever played in a Super 6 or a Super 7. And so you're talking about Super 6, you're going back to 1996. I'm not sure, you have to look up their history on the website there, but I'm not sure. Now, I remember the championships that they won in the 80s and 90s and played for.
I think you may be right.
But, you're talking about one of the most tradition-rich programs in the state, and I'm not sure that they've ever made a finals trip since we went to neutral field. Now, I'm haunted by memories of T.R. Miller because my freshman year of high school at Cherokee County, which was center back then, we lost at home in the state championship game to T.R. Miller. So that kind of kicked off their 10, 12-year run there, being one of the dominant teams in Class 4A. But
it's funny, depending on how old you are, you still call him center.
Yeah,
all the time. I catch myself doing it all the time.
Oh yeah. But T.R. Miller, I think that's probably one that would get a lot of the football trivia guys, because I'm not positive that they've played in either a Super 6 in Birmingham or a Super 7 since we've had it.
We'll look that up. We're going to skip 4A. We'll finish with 4A.
Somebody asked, is Jerry going to ever be able to find a school that stomps Coach Smith?
No. I mean, could I find a school in the nation that stumps him? Maybe.
Possible.
Probably not.
Not in the state of
My
Alabama.
money's on Coach.
I don't get out of Alabama waters there. I love some Alabama high school football.
5A football, let's talk about number 8 Leeds at number 10 St. Clair County.
It's
a good little rivalry game.
Good little rivalry game right down the road. St. Clair County's had some big wins this year. I think they beat Catholic early in the year. And
it surprised me.
Beat them pretty soundly.
Yep.
Leeds has been a little bit perplexing to me because trying to keep up with them,
They won it in 2002.
Well, who T.R. Miller did?
Yeah.
So they did make it. That was a Super 6 then.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that was still in Birmingham at that time, I guess. Leeds is a team that's kind of been polarizing to me a little bit this year. You see them and you think, well, they didn't play well in this game or they didn't play well in that game, and then they go and just it was Jacksonville. Jacksonville just stumped them, and Jacksonville's got a good ball team, but I thought that would be a really, really close ball game. Jacksonville beat them by 4 touchdowns. But then Leeds has come back and had some victories over some folks that kind of had you scratching your head a little bit. So I think that St. Clair County is having an outstanding season, and I think that the hype and stuff for them is actually real. I think they've really got a good team.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think they're ready to beat Leeds yet.
Okay. Kevin, write that down. 7A, let's go to, how about Central Phoenix, number 2 at number 5 Auburn?
Yeah, Central Phoenix burned me last week. I thought that's going to beat the All-Star team because that's twice.
You may call Patrick real quick and give him the what for?
That's twice that IMG's burnt me, so I guess I need to leave them alone, right? But Central Phoenix City and Auburn.
At Auburn.
At Auburn.
Yeah.
I was just around Coach Etheridge. I guess it was Tuesday this week, and I know that there's a lot of excitement there over that game. Auburn has been another one of those teams this year. I'm like, they didn't show up that night against Vestavia and play the way that Auburn has played traditionally. I'm gonna go here with the Central Phoenix City Devils in an upset at Auburn.
Fighting Nixes.
I'm all about Keith Etheridge, and I like Coach Etheridge. He's a friend of mine, but I don't know if Auburn's got enough for Phoenix City.
Coach didn't watch it, so it's fine.
No.
He ain't gonna be watching. How about number 3 Thompson at Hewitt Trussville, number 1?
Man, what a game!
They
got all the big boys matching up.
Yep.
I think Thompson. I wouldn't want to be in Trussville's position catching Thompson coming off last week against Clay Chalkville.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty impressive that the number 1 7A and the number 1 6A team are only separated by about 3 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously a lot of great football players in that part of the state.
A lot of good subdivisions.
A lot of guys that can play in that area. I know that it's probably, I don't know, is this the first time Trussville's been ranked number 1 in 7A?
That I remember.
Well, I mean, they've only been 7A a couple periods, right?
Yeah,
they were 6A for a while.
Yeah.
But I know there'll be a ton of excitement there, and I got a lot of people at Westbrook that's got Trussville connections or went to school at Trussville or whatever, and Coach Phillips and some of those guys. I know there'll be a lot of excitement there. And I like Coach Floyd a lot. I got to know him through some different things.
How many state championships has he won? He won 4 in Arkansas?
Something like that.
Something like that?
Yeah, before he ever came to Alabama. And to watch them play, you know, they are as fun to watch as anybody with the things that they do. And then on the other side, you got Coach Freeman and all the championships they won and the way that they develop skill guys and throw it around, you know, all over the place. But, oh, man.
Ooh,
You're making me. I'm going to pick Thompson to win the game.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Thompson to win the game. It wouldn't surprise me if Trustful won the game, but I'm gonna pick Thompson just because I think that they've got enough down there that they're gonna be able to scratch and find a way to not lose 2 in a row.
They're angry. It's not going to be. I mean, could you imagine that week of practice this week?
Well, you know, last year when they lost to Grayson out the gate, and they lost to I think they lost to Clay last year.
Did,
they?
yeah.
And everybody was kind of writing them off. They were coming back to earth, and then they wound up running the table and winning the championship.
They know what
you
they're
know.
doing. Let's talk about 4A football, Coach.
Okay.
Let's start with this game first. There's 3 good matchups. How about Madison Academy at North Jackson?
Madison Academy.
That was pretty quick. How about some team called Cherokee County battling against Anniston? That's going to be a game.
You got to tell me how you want me to pick this game with my head, or you want me to pick it with my heart.
Well, Coach, you like to win, so
like one of the fantasy football teams you manage.
How many fantasy teams you managing?
Oh, a bunch. It's a bunch. I don't care to
Brad's
disclose
on.
that.
That's good.
Don't care to disclose that. But
Thanks, Coach Jones.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you know,
He's not disclosing.
by my heart,
Sure.
I still love to see those Center Warriors do good. There's only a couple times a year that I might not be all in for them. My heart says take the Warriors. They've been in 3 state championship games in a row. My head tells me that Anniston's going to be the team to beat in 4A North. I think Anniston, I think Rico's got it going on there. And when I saw what they did to Hoax Bluff a couple of weeks back, I really felt like that was going to be a game that could go either way, and it looked like it was. Anniston kind of dominated that game. So with my head, I'm going to have to pick Anniston.
Your wife just chimed in.
Okay.
Hey, Coach Jones, it's 162 fantasy teams.
No, it's not.
So good.
I'm just reading the comments, Coach.
Yeah, don't read.
I'm reading the comments.
Don't believe everything you read.
The first lady
she's
said
not-
162.
She's not above telling a story.
I believe her. I don't know.
Wait, where'd she go to high school?
Brad-
She went to Coosa for a while.
Easy.
That's my point.
So,
Easy.
Brent's laughing his off. He's so funny. He said, "That's insane."
it is, but that's wrong. I mean,
It's 163.
no, it's 62. Take the 1 off the front.
All right, let's get to what
That's great.
I'm excited to watch this game. I will absolutely watch this game sometime Saturday, and that's Jackson and St. Michael.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I both agree that could be one of the most talented teams in the state of Alabama. 1 through 6A, Jackson is loaded.
1 through 7. I can go one step further.
Okay.
St. Michael's, Phillip Rivers there, you know that St. Michael's is going to draw kids. He's got one of his kids coming through. I think he's going to have a kid at St. Michael's for the next 20 years playing.
It's a Catholic school, Coach.
He's got a bunch of kids. And I think Gunner's this one,
Yeah.
quarterback's name. He should be
junior?
about a junior this year. You know, there's going to be kids from all over Mobile that want to play for Coach Rivers and his resume, and then playing with his kids. They know they're going to throw the football around.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be, at one time they were building a stadium on campus. I'm sure it's not going to be cheap. They're going to do it upright at St. Michael's. They've hired a Hall of Fame quarterback, all those things. And I think that's they're building a dynasty at St. Michael's that we'll probably see from 2000, maybe as early as 26 till 36. I don't know. But it's going to be one of those places that's going to be a factory for football talent, and they may become the new big private school down in Mobile. I don't know what's going to happen, but I would feel very certain that they're not going to be the big dogs in 25. You look at that Jackson team, they don't just look like LSU in uniform, they kind of play like LSU. And that's as good of a high school football team that I've seen in person, especially for a 4A team. I think Jackson could play with anybody. I don't know that they could win 7A for the fact of having to play that gauntlet of teams week in and week out. The roster size might eventually catch up to them if you were playing the Hoovers and Homewoods and Hillcrest and Hewitt Trussell's and Thompson's week after week after week.
Sure.
The 50-man roster might catch up to you a little bit there. But on any given Friday night in this state, I would give Jackson a fighting chance against any of them on a particular Friday night.
Sure.
And I just think, although St. Michael's gave them a decent game last year in the playoffs,
just ran out.
I just think everybody else in 4A is playing for second. I mean, that's just.
I was reading an article by somewhere, it may have been Mobile, and they were talking about the progression of Duckworth, and he was so athletic last year, but that he's really developed into a quarterback this year. I haven't watched him live. I'll see some clips, but I don't know. What's your thoughts on the progression from a junior year quarterback to a senior year quarterback? You expect a certain type of improvement, right?
I only got to see him one time. That was in the state championship game last year, and
he looked pretty.
He looked a pretty good quarterback to me last year. So if he's progressed quite, I think sometimes too we make this coaching thing too complicated.
Yeah.
I watched that Jackson team last year, and I know that the coach down there probably has to fight a little bit of maybe teenagers getting a little bit complacent because they're just so dominant. But I don't know how much you want to get in there and interfere with that kind of talent. I'm not sure that coaching can do a whole lot with that kind of talent other than mess it up.
Yeah.
And that's what I told people before. There's been some times I've had some players and people say, hey, man, what? A lot of times that's the player and you just don't get in their way. You know, you give them the parameters that you want them to work within as far as the team goes, but, you know, there is a thing called overcoaching. And so, you know, I haven't heard specifically anything that he's done differently. I know that he was really, really good the day I saw him in early December last year, and if he's made progressive steps toward being a more complete player than what I saw on that day, everybody better watch out. Because he was really good last year.
From the article I read, he started getting some quarterback coaching as far as fundamentals. I don't think, not like a quarterback coach or anything like that, but I think he had like somebody come in and just work on the little things. But I'm like you, I didn't see a flaw last year.
Well, you know, little things, I think a lot of times, and I don't say this negatively, and I definitely don't say it as to think that I know everything, but coaching quarterbacks, I would like to think that most everybody starts with those little things in the fundamentals.
Sure. And
so I think a lot of times, you know, people get enamored with the private instruction and things of that nature, and to each his own for how they want to do that. But there's some common non-negotiables about playing the position that don't get shown on Twitter, and they don't get shown in a manual.
Right.
That's just some it factor type things that kids either have or they don't, and then some things that you can do with them to give them a better foundation on what they're trying to do that may not cost you $100 an hour. That I think goes a long way toward developing a quarterback. And you know,
I was reading an article from they came out during the Manning passing camp. That happens every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know I can't remember who actually penned the article, but it asked the question to the big coaches that were there, hey, what is the number one thing that quarterbacks, and there were specifically high school quarterbacks, need to focus on? Peyton Manning said, people are going to laugh when I say this, but it's learning how to take a snap under center.
Mm-hmm.
No one does that anymore.
Right.
We don't think about it. It's out of the gun, right? You just
everybody's out of the gun. And
talk to different. You played it. You probably. When did you start taking snaps from shotgun?
Me?
Yeah, you were under center.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Me taking shotgun snaps for Coach Johnson or Bill Burgess?
Yeah.
Coach Burgess, we were triple option. You can't.
That's what I'm saying. When did you start taking snaps from shotgun? Ever?
I think we got in shotgun a little bit my junior year at center just because Coach Johnson wanted to see if we could throw it a little bit, but it wasn't like a part of the. It wasn't nothing we really practiced.
Yeah.
It was a big deal because the center had to snap something. He wasn't just hacking it straight up. You know, I mean, so we had to work on it a little bit. But you know, I think my junior year of high school we ran some shotgun, but it was like to mix the other team up. It wasn't part of our base offense. I mean, I tell everybody all the time, I played a base offense in high school, and our base offense was the power I.
Yeah.
That was 3 guys in the backfield and a tight end and a split end. That was our base. And then you get to Jacksonville State, and you're running a double wing option, the broken bone or the full wishbone. And, you know, if Coach Maniscalco would have tried to get the shotgun at Jack State, I think Coach Burgess would have choked him. I really did. I mean, that's communism to Coach Burgess if you're not under center. And not going forward.
Don't do shotgun.
Exactly right. So, but nowadays, if you see a quarterback under center, it's like, hey, what are we doing?
Well, I think where a lot of the talk about that comes in, and you know, during the off season, sometimes when I work with our quarterbacks, we'll work on taking a 3-step drop with a simulated and then a 5-step drop and a 7-step, and we'll work on footwork stuff because when they do go to some camps and things, you don't want them to be in a position to where they get out there and somebody says, all right, show me a 3-step drop, throwing to the left, and they've never done it. So I do continue to work with little things, the shoulder, the hip, all the stuff that goes into the fundamentals of quarterback play, and it's been encouraging to watch our guys progress in that area. But, you know, so much of the recruiting and stuff is done with highlight films where they're catching balls in shotgun, and then where they get seen in the summer and nobody gets under center in 7-on-7. Everybody's in shotgun, and you know it's a lot more comfortable to just sit back there and scan the field when you're 5 yards off the ball versus starting with the lineman right in your teeth. You know, so there is an element to it that I think that is a lost art, and so we try to work that in sometimes when we're doing things in the off season, just so it's not completely foreign to them when they hear under center. But you know, I think there are still important phases of that you need to know, and if you still look at some of the most successful teams on the college and the professional level, I mean, Alabama beat Georgia that night, but Alabama still had times they were under center. There were times they were in gun, but there were times they were under center. They were running their downhill stuff. They were running their play action stuff. It's hard to do a lot of play action stuff from the shotgun because what gets those linebackers to step up a lot of times is that running back.
I still see people in shotgun and doing the play action. There's not even a back there. But the quarterback still do the fake. It's fun.
And we do some play action from shotgun because we still run the ball probably 70% of the time.
Do you do it with an empty backfield?
It's hard to kind of fake somebody that ain't there.
I've seen that in the NFL too.
But you know,
and one of the other things, and I'll finish up here, Coach. I really enjoy watching the 7-on-7 camps and the Peyton. I just love how these quarterbacks progress. But one thing, the first time I've ever seen it happen at the Manning Passing Academy was they spent an entire day on how to hand the football off. It's a lost art.
Just funny you mention that because I was just talking to a couple of my younger guys. I guess it was yesterday or Tuesday at practice as we were just doing we do a little period while we're doing some special teams where Coach McHugh has our quarterbacks, running backs, and you know, when I was in school, Coach Johnson used to call that timing, but that's where we were actually just going through our run play stuff. And I try to sit where I can see the special teams, see what's going on in the defensive grips, and see what's going on in the ball machine where the receivers are down there catching passes. I want to get somewhere I can see everything. Mm-hmm. And I noticed a couple of times our young quarterback, young running back were kind of just being sloppy with putting it on their hip or slamming it in their stomach, making a small pocket, and you know, so a lot of those things, if you don't go back and just remind them and preach them about the fundamentals of making a big pocket, laying it flat, letting them run through it, those types of things, you know. I mentioned some of the things we were sloppy on last week. We had a couple of exchanges when our younger guys were in there where we put the ball on the ground, and it wasn't caused by the defense. It was just in the not hooking up with the quarterback, running back mesh, and making a big pocket, you know. So if you don't work on those things and don't talk about them, they can kind of get you in trouble sometimes, you know. And you think, how in the world do you spend the whole practice working on handoffs? Yeah. But you know, and a lot of times, I do think that there's a lot of fundamentals that are stressed at the Manning Academy. But a lot of times, those things that people go to, you know, these Elite 11 things and stuff, they're about showing off your arm, making the wow plays, and not necessarily focusing a whole lot on taking what the defense gives you. And, you know, quarterbacks, we're all the same. We want to throw that thing deep. We want to chunk it deep. We want to take the longest throw.
Sure.
You know, give me a choice. I'm going to throw the 30-yard ball instead of the 5-yard out, you know. But I think teaching kids to go through the progressions of 2-on-1 in the flat, reading the flat curl, reading the over and under, those little things that my terminology is probably not spiffy enough to get to get into a manual by QB Country or the Manning
Yeah,
Academy,
yeah.
but you know, still talking in terms to where everyday people can understand what we're talking about. You know, that guy's the guy we want to put on the island. If he takes him, throw it here. If he takes him, throw it there. Those things are still very important, in my opinion, in the development of quarterback play. And I think you're seeing this year with our quarterback, Brody Blevins.
Mm-hmm.
He's bought into the simple things. He's made some big plays down the field. He's hit some home runs on some big deep balls and stuff, and he's really, really an underrated passer. But a lot of folks don't know about the time that Brody Blevins has put in to honing his craft of being that guy.
Sure.
And his completion percentage this year is probably around 75%.
That's incredible.
And you know, don't want to set him up for failure because he understands he's got to keep working on those small things. And arm strength was never his problem. His lower body was not using his legs. He was working against himself a lot, and just a couple of little things that he understood that he needed to work on. And being a perfectionist like he is, he says, "Hey, that's what I got to do to be better. I'm gonna do that." You know,
And he can still run.
and he can still run.
Yeah. Hey, Coach Short says good luck the rest of the season.
Coach Short, how you doing, man?
He's a dude.
I appreciate it.
Good dude. Hey, that's all.
I'm going to see him tomorrow night. I think tomorrow night's my night to go be on the show.
Oh
with
yeah, I
him
saw
and
that. You and
John Holder.
who's the other coach? I saw it yesterday. It's you with somebody else going to be on the show.
Yeah.
Another coach. I forget who it is.
I always enjoy getting together and spend some time with him. Now, you're talking about the foremost guy on high school football in Alabama there.
No question.
John Holder, there used to be a challenge that somebody could if they could come up with a team that he didn't know the nickname of, and most of the time he knows the name of the stadium.
Well, he's been there.
And he knows the town that the stadium's
for
in.
sure.
You know, he is a high school football expert.
I tell everybody he is the James Spann of high school football.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, he's the dude. We hold him in high regard.
Yep, great guy.
Yeah,
All right, guys, thank you for watching. Go out and support the Warriors down at the Creek Bank Friday night, 7 o'clock is kickoff time. Probably want to get there early because it's going to be packed. So get there. Coach, thank you so much, buddy.
You're